So, it was interesting when Aaron missed the minicamp. And I said yesterday, and I've said this before, never married, no kids, not sure he has a pet. As you get older and richer, you can get a little self-absorbed. Like, wives, kids, sacrificing. So I've seen this in the media. I've seen it in sports. So if Aaron didn't want to go there, but to be a foxhole guy, the GM missed on a quarterback and a left tackle. The coach is on the hot seat. You have an offensive line that's brand new that won't play much in the preseason because old offensive linemen don't. And an old receiver coming in and two new ones. And I said, you would just show up for the team. Like if we were having a morale building 3-day seminar, I think I'd show up for the FS1, event. You'd show up. You'd show up, if not for yourself. It's not a learning event for me. It's a team thing. It does sort of rub me the wrong way. It's like, Aaron, you played 4 snaps last year. You got to.
Colin,
am I nuts?
I think you're being a little too gentle. If the reports are true, hey, give me in 10 words or less what happened with Aaron Rodgers last week. The answer is skipped work to do drugs. I don't really need a longer story than that. Now, I'm like that I know that, and people are like, oh, Nick, get with the times. Guys, I am open to the healing, recuperative, and therapeutic powers of a lot of substances. Some are legal in this country, some are not. I am not a prude in that regard. I will listen to you on it. I got friends in New York that walk around Central Park microdosing mushrooms and say, oh, changed my life. I'm open to it. But if you had a buddy that was a year into a new job and the first year didn't go great, and it's like, oh, they're having that company-wide offsite that you've known about for months. Are you excited for it? And it's like, oh, I actually told him I can't make it. And it's why I'm leaving the country to go do drugs. You'd be like, buddy, I think you don't have your priorities in order.
Right.
And it's like, no. I need this for my mental health and all of these things. But I'm going to use a awkward Colin Cowherd analogy that I'm not that great at. There are a lot of things that folks would like to do that might improve their mental health. The new thing everybody does, everybody brings a dog on an airplane because they're a nervous flyer. You know what really relaxes me on an airplane? A delicious, full-flavored cigarette. I'm not allowed to do it, even though it would make me feel a lot better. Because they're like, hey, those are the rules. You know what I bet Tyron Smith or somebody on the Jets might say? To get my mind right before the season, I would really like 7 days in Bali with no one bothering me, on a beach, zen, meditating. And you know what the Jets would say? No problem, buddy. There are 4 weeks on the front end and 6 weeks on the back end when that's available. These 3 days, can you make sure you're at work? And every other player was able to say yes. And Aaron said, can't make it. This trip is too important. And if that trip is because this is when I had scheduled months ago my retreat to go do ayahuasca, I don't know why we have to patty cake around it. It is a ridiculous choice. And it is an indefensible choice. And what is going to happen, Colin, is when Aaron comes out and talks about this publicly, this is my prediction. Not only is he not going to take accountability, he is going to not so subtly slap Robert Saleh's wrist.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why that was, discussed the way it was. I did let them know I'd like to keep things in-house and try to remind everyone with the Jets that I am the top dog here, up to and including missing an event that every single one of my teammates, aside from Hassan Reddick, who's not even fully a teammate yet, was at, because I had a pre-scheduled appointment to go do ayahuasca, supposedly.
So I was right. I said I made a video before, and I said maybe I'm going to have egg on my face, but I said I bet you he's doing some sort of retreat. And I said, because then they tried to say that it was a vacation. And I said, that doesn't sound right to me. And they made fun of him and said he shouldn't be able, can he just change his flight, this, that, and the third. And I said, well, you know what? If he's doing a retreat, that is more of a scheduled thing, that he's probably doing it within a very specific setting, with a specific guide, a very specific opportunity, that he doesn't have the ability, that even Aaron Rodgers, no matter how wealthy he is, doesn't have the freedom and the power to schedule that whenever he wants. And the example that I use is like the Pope, right? It's just like, no matter how rich and famous you are, you can't just say, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, whoever, can't just say, you know what? I want a meeting with the Pope next week. Let's do it. Like, that's not the way it works. Like, the Pope has more power than those guys, right? And that's the way how all of these retreats are going to work. Now, I am confident that if Aaron Rodgers was a devout Christian and was going on a retreat with the Pope, nobody would have an issue with it. In fact, I bet you the Jets would even excuse the absence because it's for some religious observation. I'm very confident in that. Very confident in that. This is essentially the religion for Aaron. This is what Aaron is doing because it will fundamentally, he believes, will change his life for the better, will make him a better, happier human being. All the things that Nick Wright wants Aaron to be. But I understand he's doing it in a way that is uncomfortable for these guys. And I believe Nick when he said that he's more open to all those things, but he clearly does not really understand what this process is. For me, I actually know very, very, very personally, from not only professionally having all my background in psychology and philosophy and religious studies, as well as doing a lot of this stuff, just doing it. Let's just say that, right? I've just done it. So I know from deep experience. I've been on meditative retreats. So I know what it's like. I'm speaking from direct experience and understanding of that culture. And this is what Aaron is doing. So he didn't have the freedom. So he did let the Jets know, I am doing this thing. It's incredibly important to me. Okay? It's incredibly important to me. Whether we want to see it as a religious observation, a spirituality growth, or just something that is like medication to me. It's something that I need to do. It's like literally a medical treatment for my mental health. To make that equivalent to just laying on the beach or, having a dog on the plane or whatever, that's just inappropriate. Say that to someone who prays every single day, their relationship with God, that gives them the sense of security and love and lack of loneliness and connectedness, someone who really is in touch with God, Jesus, whoever. Say, oh yeah, just lay on the beach instead. That'll give you the same stuff. You would be like, what are you talking about? That it would be so insulting. So Aaron is not just doing these things and then just like kicking back and laughing and giggling. It's completely different. It's completely different. And unless you have true direct experience, it's just going to be hard for you to understand, quite honestly. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm asking you, if you're open-minded, to take that leap of faith of what I'm saying. It is tremendously more profound in that regard. And so it's very understandable that he wasn't able to now reschedule that, because these things are specifically scheduled. Like, he does not have that control, no matter how much money he has. And this is the stuff that he's doing that gives him meaning in life. That's why people go to religion and spirituality. That's why people find God and Jesus and anyone else in between. Okay? and I understand that. So if Patrick Mahomes, while he was playing, started to really get into God and Christianity and Jesus, and he was going on a retreat to study, right? It was going to be a 5-day retreat where it was going to be an intensive retreat where he was going to learn from the Pope or any other big Christian religious leader of some sort. Nobody would have a problem with it. Nobody would. I'm so confident in that. They just wouldn't. They would say, isn't this guy great? He wins a Super Bowl. Now he's cultivating his relationship with God, and the Chiefs are supportive of it. It's such an inspiration, right? Joe Mazzulla just wore a shirt, although I think the broadcast did try to not show it. which I think to a degree was appropriate. I think it was actually kind of an inappropriate to wear that shirt. Not that it's wrong for him to have those beliefs, but it's just like, why? You know, like, this is all about the Boston Celtics right now, and you are bringing. I'm all for, like, you can do all that on the side, but that seemed a little bit too much for me personally. But again, I don't have an issue with him doing those things. And if Joe Mazzulla, right before the playoffs, needed to go on some sort of retreat to do that because it's going to make him a better coach, by all means, go do it. So, you know, I just think that it's kind of a double standard here in that regard. I really, really do. And I think it's not fair. I don't even want to say the word that Nick Wright said, because again, I'm just always aware of how YouTube handles all of these things. I was already even concerned when he was talking. I'm like, ooh, am I going to want to post this? Like, I don't know. I don't want to curse on this channel. I don't want to talk about things that are too extreme, you know, at least by social media standards, but we'll run with it. If the herd is posting it, then I guess it's got to be fine, right? But to reduce it to him just doing, you know, just partying, I guess I'll say, it's just not fair. To reduce it to either that he's just partying and feeling kind of loopy or just laying on a beach, it's just not accurate. This is Aaron's religious path that he's taking. We could say spirituality, religion. It really doesn't matter. And it's also his mental health path. It's no different than him saying, I actually have to take this. I have to do this for a week. It's like a medical treatment where they're going to hook me up to an IV, and it's going to be, you know, they still do this. Actually, people think they don't really do this. Electric shock therapy. It's still a thing that they do to help treat people who have various disorders, but like for people that have severe depression, actually. And in fact, it's super safe. And in fact, the anesthesia that they use is more is actually more dangerous than the procedure itself, even though obviously it looks very like jarring. But like, let's say he was doing that. Let's say he was saying, I'm having a terrible issue with I'm having a lot of headaches and migraines and severe depression and fatigue issues. And I'm going to this treatment facility for a week where they're going to, electric shock therapy. And it's going to be a whole week long thing. And I'm going to get a lot of, you know, platelet rich plasma and stem cells and all this type of stuff, and it's hopefully going to help, you know, it's medical treatment. Nobody would have a problem with that. But since it is mental health, since it is his mind, since it is spirituality, people have a problem with that. And listen, I want to emphasize, I do wish he was at that thing, you know, I forget the minicamp. I do wish he was there, and I do wish he was able to reschedule in a way. But I'm just saying that he most likely would not have been able to reschedule it. So it's not him just being a diva. It's not him just being Aaron. And again, that's why the other analogy that Nick said, where you're starting a new job and it's for a year and it hasn't been going well, blah, blah. Nick, he didn't start a new job. I understand he's at a new team, but this is not a new job. Everyone knows who Aaron Rodgers is. Everyone knows what he can and can't do on and off the field. They all know that. He doesn't have to prove anything to anyone in that regard. Certainly not anyone in the Jets organization just because it's a new franchise. He's already established that. So it's one thing if he went to a new team and we lived in a world, the NFL was in a way where nobody knew who Aaron was, right? They only knew who he was, like, kind of, right? Like, where you don't watch games, right? Like maybe like a coach or front office where, like, sure, no one really knows who the VP of operations is for the Jets or whatever. And now if he goes to a new team, like, you don't really know who he is. But with sports, it's unique. It's not like a computer program or any other job. We see what these guys can do. We literally all watch them do their job, right? Every single time, every single game. So that analogy to me just falls too weak. And again, the Jets do not care and the players don't care. They fumbled this because they should have given him an excuse under, I'm sure there has to be some sort of, because originally they said they can't do it because it's a vacation, and this can't be classified as a vacation. It should have been classified as some sort of religion. And listen, maybe they have it in their own bylaws that even for a religious observation, they're not excused. I don't know. Someone who maybe has a better idea would have to let me know that. But I just think that it's totally fair game for this. And the way how it's been covered has definitely been pretty bizarre, and you can definitely see the lack of understanding from a lot of fans and also media. But you know what? Again, I understand it, because if I didn't live the life that I lived and had the background that I had, I would also be like, what is this guy doing? And so I do understand it, but it's a lot deeper than that. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Aaron Rodgers missing minicamp and Nick Wright's whole opinion with regards to it? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.